How do you really feel about Chinese New Year family gatherings? Today, we're not gonna lie. This year's Chinese New Year is gonna be the first time in many years, right, where we get together with no restrictions, and for many people, I think it's gonna be the first time in a long time you get to see your entire extended family in one space. So some people are excited because they love it, some people not so much, and today we're gonna dive into that whole idea. So today I have with me a very special guest, Eileen. Hi, Eileen.
Hi.
Today we are so excited to hear from your stories because I know you have so many stories to share with
so
us.
excited to share as well.
So I want to ask you, are you looking forward to Chinese New Year this year?
Wow, that is a really tough question because I'm quite uncertain about how Chinese New Year will unfold this year.
Okay.
Yeah, but probably we'll dive into that later.
Will y'all gather?
That's the big question mark that makes the whole thing uncertain.
So Eileen is here, right? Because she has a very interesting Chinese New Year experience, I would say. Quite different from most young people. I would say for most young people, Chinese New Year is a time where we think about good food, we think about gatherings, you scroll your Instagram, everybody is posting their OOTD, right? And then if you're not married, lucky lah, you get some ang pao.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
I can't. But, today I want to ask you, how is your Chinese New Year usually like?
Yeah, I guess I relate to the whole thing about good food because I'm the one that prepares it.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, not exactly all my effort because as my whole Chinese New Year is like, when I wake up in the morning, I have to wash up a bit. Then after that, I don't get dressed immediately into my new clothes per se. I continue in my pajamas because I have to cut cabbage. I need to cut garlic. I need to
people
help
come your house one, is it?
Yeah, correct. Because I stay with my grandparents, right?
Okay.
So it's the headquarters lah.
Yes.
So that's where I have to help to with all the house chores first and serve the guests before I eventually can go and really wear my new clothes for the Chinese New Year and go and 拜年 and receive ang paos lah.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's like I see my friends, right? They all get to go 拜年 from different house to house, and then they get to take OOTDs at different void decks, different backgrounds. But for me, it's just one house, right? And then I don't really take OOTDs as much because as I grow older, when I'm more entrusted with all the household chores, right? Yeah, then I realized that there's no point of me getting new clothes anymore because I'll be just in the kitchen doing what I need to do until I'm released from my duty to go play with my cousins or to catch up with them. Yeah, so there was this year where I gave up. I just wear these jeans, right? Then I just buy a red Pull and Bear shirt. Then I just lap over, okay? Happy New Year, Akong Ama. Yeah, that's all.
I'm more surprised that you can wear these jeans and cook.
Not bad actually. It's the ultra stretch. Not sponsored, but it's okay. It's convenient to cut and chop. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so your day one you usually spend it in the kitchen lah.
Yeah, correct. And actually Chinese New Year for me is very short. Yeah, because I only spend Chinese New Year like the 初一. That's all. Then after that, because all my family members were gathered on the first day of Chinese New Year, right?
Okay.
Then after that, 初二 onwards is there's no more family members coming already.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's either when I have friends invite me, then I'll go to their house.
And you wear the jeans and the Pull and Bear shirt also.
I try lah. Yeah. But if not, I will just stay at home and watch the Chinese New Year program on TV.
Right.
Yeah. So that's how my Chinese New Year has always been like, as far as I can remember.
Wow. Okay. And what are some other Chinese New Year memories that you have?
Oh, I think I would say that my Chinese New Year actually changed along the years as well. Yeah, because when I was very young, when I was 9 years old, my mom actually passed away because of cancer.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So because she's a Thai, right? So she was actually back in her hometown to try to recuperate lah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I remember my Chinese New Year that year was very different because before Chinese New Year I had to fly back to Thailand to be at her wake. Then after that, when I flew back, the whole atmosphere of the family was very, very different. Yeah.
You're still gathered that year?
We still gathered, but it was very hard going, I would say. Because a lot of family members, when they come and visit at the headquarters, right, you can tell that they try to avoid the topic of mentioning my mother.
They avoid it?
Yeah, they try to avoid, or they will try to comfort me, and they tried their way to to help me to not remember that my mother passed away lah. But it wasn't
doesn't work
really
that way,
helpful
right?
because I
Yeah.
can still sense it even though I was a
Yeah.
kid. I mean, if there's only one good thing that came out of that is that probably I received more ang pao money. But it wasn't still very comforting still. But I think along the years, it was shortly after that my dad actually remarried.
Okay.
Yeah, so then came another year of Chinese New Year where I have to experience different change of welcoming a new family member into the family. And at the same time, it was quite funny because like my stepmother actually is a Vietnamese. Yeah, so she actually has some language barriers.
Can
with-
speak like
she
English
can
and
speak
Chinese.
Chinese only.
Okay.
Yeah, so but that was still a bit hard because my family mostly speaks in Hokkien.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
That's hard.
yeah. So especially for my grandparents, right? They find it hard to communicate with her because like Hokkien and Chinese, is very different pronunciations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think for my stepmother then, she couldn't really get her message across. Yeah. So I remember the particular incident was that my stepmother actually tried to build a relationship with one of my father's elder sister, which is my aunt lah. Basically, she tried to compliment like, "Wow, you 今天穿得很美" or something
Very
like
nice
that.
lah, what
Yeah,
you
but I
wore.
think because of her accent very strong then my aunt couldn't really understand. So she just okay, 新年快乐, 新年快乐. Then she just
So
passed the
awkward.
ang pao to me and my sisters. So actually, it's very awkward because like at the point of time, I think I was only like 11 years old or so. So I just like take the ang pao. Then I exited the conversation to go and find my other cousins to play. Yeah, so I think that was quite awkward for me during that Chinese New Year when we first, had her for our family. Yeah, then subsequently, right? Okay, maybe to give a bit more context, actually I have two younger sisters. But the interesting fact is that three of us, we are all from different mothers.
Oh.
Yeah, so basically my dad actually remarried twice.
Okay,
yeah, so
right.
he remarried first when I was in primary 5. So that CNY was the year that funny
one lah,
incident
right.
happened.
Yeah.
Then after that, he remarried again when I was in secondary 4. Yeah, so my sisters and I, we have a very huge age gap.
Actually, yeah. That's
Very,
true.
very huge
Yeah.
age gap. I think it's like about 11 years and 16 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 11 years and 16 years. Then it's like, then with the, so I would say it's a bit more awkward when I have to welcome my current stepmother because it was at an age where I'm already quite grown up. Yeah. And it was probably a bit harder to really talk to her in a sense that I can actually relate to her as a family member at first. Yeah, but I think she tries her best, and like during Chinese New Year she tries to also like because as a kid, right, she still sees me as her child lah. So
that's
I have
quite nice
to
though.
I have to also out of respect 拜年 to her
Okay.
and my dad as well. So what my dad does, right, is that he will tell me that you want to 拜年, right, you go 拜年 to mommy. Then she will give you ang bao. So I think he tries to help me build relationship with my stepmother by this as well. Yeah, so like I think it's Chinese New Year that actually helps to like bring my family to come together to try to close a bit of the gap.
Wow, but hearing your CNY
Yeah.
is so like eventful in the sense that like over the years, like
I
so
think
many things
over years
happen.
the family dynamics just evolve, I would say.
Yeah.
As my role did as well lah. Yeah, like
So, I don't know, do you feel like CNY is a time where you have to confront the family dynamics a little bit more, or is it something that you think about quite a bit day to day?
actually from very young I would say that my family is not very close. Yeah, like we don't have the habit of gathering for family dinners.
Oh, okay.
So like actually up to the point where my mom passed away and when we welcomed the new stepmother, right, I don't remember afterwards I don't remember us having family dinners anymore. Yeah.
Before that when your mom was around your head?
Before that there is still family dinners because it's only a family of 3, easier to gather.
Oh, true. Okay.
Yeah, but then like as we welcome like my other sisters and everything, then as we grow up, then after that sometimes we also have our own like priorities outside, so it makes it harder for us to gather as a family. And also cause my dad, he is a cook, right, so he works until 10 p.m. every day.
Oh,
Yeah, so that
hard
makes it
lah.
even harder
Yeah.
to gather for dinners lah. Yeah. So Chinese New Year is really that one day that like we have to awkwardly sit ourselves down at the table and eat, and then realize that, and it always comes to me that like, wow, we really got nothing to talk about.
Oh dear. Because it's not a habit, right? To sit down and eat together.
Correct. It's really like we just eat and try to finish your rice ready, put it in the sink, then after that go and do your stuff. That kind of stuff. Yeah. So I think that's the whole dynamics between my family. Yeah, when it comes to CNY. I think it's improving though over the years. Yeah, it's improving, I would say.
I feel like that's the thing about CNY though. Like it kind of forces you to come face to face with like what the family dynamic is like, because the whole logic of CNY is that you're supposed to gather with family, right? But if your family doesn't really have that habit of gathering, then actually sometimes we do gather because you should on CNY, but then you realize you don't really have much to say to each other. And I think it comes out quite a bit during the reunion dinner.
Yes,
right? Because everybody has this idea that must eat reunion dinner with your family.
Actually, how's your reunion dinner like? I mean, given that now you are married already.
Yeah, so the interesting thing is, because I'm married right now, I get to observe two different family dynamics. So my family and my husband's family is a bit different in the sense that, like, for my family, like we are quite used to eating dinner together. So like I'm the one that shifted out, right? So I already eat less dinners. But if not, they really eat dinner almost every single day together.
Wow.
They're that kind lah. So
there's so much effort though.
Yeah, but also because my mom cooks. So I think that helps. Like, so every day she'll just cook dinner, then we will want to eat her food lah. Yeah, so because like there is that habit of like eating dinner together, not just for special occasions like birthday or New Year, right? Actually, when we gather for reunion dinner, I would say that it does feel like a normal dinner, just that the food is better, you know,
with
like,
more decorations.
Yeah. More decorations. Is like the food like a little bit more luxurious than normal, can lo hei, that kind of stuff. But actually, in terms of the dynamics, the kind of conversations, it feels like a normal dinner lah. There are things to talk about, and generally my family dinner quite noisy one. Like my problem is that people won't stop talking. It's not that nobody says anything.
That's so different
like
from
people won't stop talking and they all talk at the same time. I'm like, who do I listen to? But anyway, like then come to my husband's family, right? Wow, the dynamics are so different because like my husband's family actually is very quiet. So when he comes to my family, right, he gets a bit like overstimulated by the noise. But when I go to his side, right, at the start when I just got married to them, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so quiet. Like, am I supposed to say something? But then when I
try to?
Yes, then when I try, right, then I feel like, am I being too noisy? like am I trying too hard? But so quite different lah. Like their dinner is a lot more like quiet, chill. I think also they growing up didn't really have that habit of eating together that much. So it's a bit more like come together for occasions.
Okay.
So generally a bit more like calm. And I think getting married helped me to see that actually everybody's reunion dinner experience is a little bit different.
Yes.
Like I guess based on how your day to day is. So that's when I had this thought lah, that I think Chinese New Year is a time where the family dynamics become more obvious, especially when you have different like points of reference, right? Like for me, it was like when I got married and I got to see different kinds of family dynamics. And I think for some people, because of that, it places you in a place of tension where it's a season where you kind of have to gather because that's what everybody does.
Yeah.
But for some people, actually, it's just not that enjoyable lah, because you're just not used to spending that kind of time with your family. You're not used to eating a long meal with them, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, also, I mean, for you, this is how your family is like. Then what about your extended family dynamic, you know?
Oh, okay. I think like when we come together, among the cousins, I think we are quite close. Yeah, among the cousins, we are quite close. We actually can talk about a lot of things like, you know, as last time it used to be like, you know, school, and then now I'm working, right? So there's more topics to talk about, especially with my cousins who are out there longer in the corporate world. Yeah, but I think for my uncles and aunties, they are a bit more. You can sense that when they come together, they can joke. You know, they can make fun of one another. They can like, you know, talk. But then when the gatherings are over, there'll be some comments being made here and there.
Really? As in privately lah.
Yeah, privately. Yeah, but I think in a sense that it's not very nasty or what, but it's just I think generally this is how their impression of each other is comes off as they get along with each other as siblings. Siblings sometimes you all quarrel and then like your some things are not being said out face to face.
But you hold it in your heart lah.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, but I think sometimes like they still try to resolve it lah on days outside of Chinese New Year, so that when they gather it's still okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But is it they're generally like quite cordial, quite okay with each other, or like there's some underlying tension?
Actually, different Chinese New Years, I saw how some family dramas evolve as well lah. I remember there was this whole season where 3 years of Chinese New Year, I didn't get to see this aunt.
She just never come?
Because she quarreled with one of my uncles, then she just never come for Chinese New Year visiting for 3 years.
That's quite serious, right?
Yeah, it's very serious. Yeah, and it wasn't even COVID that caused them not to come. They just never come. Yeah, but I think after that, when things patched up, then I saw her coming back. Then I realized I was telling my dad, come back already. Yeah.
Wait, and the whole family know that they fought?
Yeah. Because my grandparents were telling everyone.
Oh no!
Yeah, it was quite funny. But I think Chinese New Year really just brings that drama, that amplified that drama, and it reveals
the drama.
And
oh my gosh,
it's quite funny lor. Sometimes people will gather and talk about it, but then like as after it happens, you start to realize that actually they also grow a bit closer because of that as well.
Okay lah, thankfully they grow closer lah.
Yeah.
Actually, like it's interesting that you say that, right? Because on my dad's side of the family, to be honest, right, I don't really know whether I'll see them this year or not. And I haven't seen them for the past few years of Chinese New Year.
Before COVID?
Yes. Because like the restrictions only started coming in like after the 2020 Chinese New Year. But I never see them in 2020. So right, it's one of those situations where after my grandparents passed away, actually like we don't really gather. And I think, it's hearsay, but I think it's because like after my grandparents passed away, there was some disagreement about like money and stuff like that, like the funeral proceedings lah. So actually, ever since then, like things have been a little bit tense. And we haven't seen them. I have no idea if I'm gonna see them. And it's a bit strange that we're talking about this on NGL, because sometimes like in Chinese culture, we feel a bit like, why are you going to air your family's dirty laundry? And I wanted to put it out there lah, that when we talk about this today, it's not because we want to like, hey, everybody see this was happening in our family. But I think going back to the idea of like NGL, right, we want to create a space where we can talk about these things responsibly, but also openly, so that I don't think we're the only two who are experiencing certain things in our family situation. But you know how Chinese New Year is a time where for many of us, we kind of see some of these things happening, and we would like to create a safe space to talk about it. So coming back to my family, like I think one of the thoughts that one of the things that I realized from this whole situation is that actually last time, right, like we only ever see each other on special occasions. So the family doesn't really have a habit of like gathering just for the sake of spending time together. It's usually because of Chinese New Year, or we celebrate like our grandparents' birthday. So actually once these reasons for gathering gets taken away, right, plus there's some like underlying tension that correct. Maybe I don't know about because I'm the kid, then actually the reason for gathering is gone. And it's really the case.
It's true. Because for my family, we only gather on Chinese New Year's, because we don't remember our grandparents' birthday. Oh my God. So when you say you gather for grandparents' birthday, or when I see my friends, they post about like they're celebrating their grandparents' birthday at restaurants and all that, right? I don't get to do that because like we don't remember our grandparents' birthday. Yeah, so like the only times we gather is like weddings.
Correct. Weddings
or Chinese New Year's, but weddings not that often, because a lot of them already married, right? So.
And I always thought this was normal, until like I got married, right? Then my husband's extended family is very different. Like they're very close. And I was so surprised because like, I have an okay relationship with my cousins lah. Like when we do gather during Chinese New Year, we can talk, we can play. But like my husband's like family, right? It's like some of the cousins will like travel together and like they like really like can hang out like friends, which is quite surprising to me. And in fact, every time we do gather, right, it's very fun. Like it really feels like a group of friends coming together to catch up. Like they can come and stay at the place for the entire day, right, just talking. They gather like beyond special occasions. I remember there was once, I think maybe when the COVID restrictions first like got lifted, right?
Yeah.
Then immediately like everybody wanted to gather.
Wow.
Then like look at the new babies that were born, celebrate like their 100 days that haven't even come yet, that kind of thing.
Okay.
But I think from there I got to experience and see like that joy of being close to your extended family, which was very refreshing for me. And I was talking about it with my husband because he's so new to me, right? And I realized it's because like his dad and like basically his aunts with his dad, they're very close. So like they grow up being very close to each other, right? So actually now when they all have their own families, they still want to gather. And it's not like held together just because there is a grandparent that everybody gathers for. So that was very new to me.
Yeah, I think both of us, our common point is more of like our families don't gather once our grandparents are not around.
Yeah, lor.
It's like it's even more amplified this year, I will say. Because from my side, so I was saying that I will actually live in a headquarters, right? With my family, with my grandparents. But after my grandparents passed away, so actually like last year, which is 2022, by the way, 2022, the house was just sold. So there's no common ground to gather anymore. So that's actually why like myself and my dad, we were quite uncertain about whether we will still gather this Chinese New Year.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think relating to what you say about the whole like, your family had some money issue and everything. Probably similar experience. But it's not that it's not to the point where they don't talk to one another anymore. They are still able to talk. But there's still there's tension around this thing that they don't want to bring it up lah. Yeah, so in a sense, like, we are not sure if like we gather, how will the atmosphere be like? Because we haven't tried. Yeah, so we can only wait it out and see what happens. Yeah, and it's quite funny because my dad has been waiting for me to send the message down to the family chat.
How you send?
Yeah.
Why you send?
Okay, so my dad has this thing about like, and probably he is a bit afraid to approach his siblings, so he'll ask me to do certain things on his behalf. Yeah, even when it has to do with like more serious family matters, like with the sale of the house and everything. Yeah,
you settle.
So I was like the representative to go and like ask my uncle who was the one settling. Yeah, no, I'm not the one who went to HDB. I'm just the one talking to my uncle, which is my father's uncle. Yeah.
Wait, your father's uncle?
Your
father's brother?
My father's brother. Sorry. Yes. Yeah, correct.
Wait, so you're the one settling all these stuff. You're the one inviting the uncle, auntie come your house during Chinese New Year.
But I keep trying to force my dad to say that, why not you pass me your phone? I type the message for you, right? Then after that, it will be, you send instead. Yeah, because I think, I don't know leh, I feel very like very awkward being the one, like, cause I'm like a junior. You see,
it's weird.
Then I'm approaching a bunch of like seniors whom
already 20 years older than your father.
I mean,
your cousins.
They're older than my dad by at least like 10 to 20 years. Then I have to approach them on my dad's behalf. I do feel a bit awkward. Sometimes I try to shun these responsibilities by asking my dad to do it instead. Yeah, but
why? Is it because your dad has a tense relationship with them? Or like he don't really interact much with them, is it?
They don't really interact because in a sense, all of them, they live in their own house. They have their own families, right? So the time spent gathering as a family is only that once a year. So I think naturally, as they really as siblings, it's harder. And also because he's the youngest, right? So probably the age gap will make it, hard for him to try to approach them as well.
But when they do gather, like, does he like interact with them and talk to them?
No, actually, during Chinese New Year, he likes to retreat to the room to play his games. So
play his game?
Yeah.
He play what? Mobile Legends?
Clash of Clans.
Oh my god.
He very zai one, okay. He got one iPad and one phone just for it.
Oh no.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
He's that kind of uncle. The Pokemon Go got 3 phones.
Yeah, he's that kind of uncle. I mean that's what he likes to do lah. So sometimes Chinese New Year is really like a time where like I have to as I grow up lah, as I'm older now, then I will like, Dad, it's time to eat. Let's come out and eat.
You're really like head of the household like that.
Yeah, because like I would say I'm the closest grandchild to my grandparents lah. So in a sense, like I think that role I didn't even know I was in that position until my grandparents passed away. And during their funeral, then my uncle and aunts will kind of like turn to me and like, cause my name is Eileen, right? So they'll call me Ling Ling. They'll be like, hey Ling Ling, can you find where is Akong the this thing? Can you help me to find Ama the this thing? So it's like, it becomes like a, like, you know, I'm the one that settles all the hospital documents and everything.
Wow.
So when I'm placed in that position, right? So naturally, I think it's probably from then that my dad probably sees that, hey, actually I got potential to relate to my uncle and aunties.
You got potential.
So probably that's why I have to come to a point where I have to be the one approaching my uncle to talk about certain stuff.
Do you feel anything about that? Like having to play this role?
It was very hard. I remember when my dad asking me to go and talk to my uncle about the house, I had to like banter within myself and like, why must I do this? And then I will procrastinate and pull it off for 1 week before I finally call him and talk to him about it. Yeah, so it makes me feel uncomfortable, definitely. But I think I voiced this out to my dad as well, that like, why not you go and do it, right? But he will tell me that, uncle 比较疼你. Then I, okay. I got nothing to say. Yeah, okay. Man. Don't worry, that I'll settle for you. Yeah. Okay. But I guess in a sense, it kind of helps me to, pull my relationship with my dad a bit closer also.
How so?
Yeah, because when I was younger, right, after my mom passed away, I think me and my dad relationship was a bit more distance lah. I would say because I also went into my teenage rebellious years, right? Yeah, then during Chinese New Year's, actually I don't really cut garlic and cabbage from young one. I only started after like polytechnic that time. Yeah, so when I was in my teenage years, I'm the one that will say no, I don't want to do all these kind of things. Yeah. So I'm a bit like, I didn't want to help out with all the housework. I'm very lazy. I'll procrastinate, that kind of stuff. Then after that, like, you know, I think even as I relate to my dad, right, I always feel like there's a distance because like I don't know what to feel about him, you know, remarrying. I don't know what to feel about him, like, you know, making changes to the whole family dynamics and everything. And Chinese New Year makes it feel even more uncomfortable because, like, you know, like people all look at your family and then, like, you know, try to see how dynamics plays out.
Wow.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. So I think like as I grew up, it become a bit harder to relate to my dad. I don't share things to him. I keep a lot of things to myself. And like that's why, that is probably also the reason why during dinners is so awkward, because like I don't know what to even talk to him about. Yeah. So like I think the whole relationship with him was very estranged lah. Yeah.
How did it like grow then over the years? Because the way you talk about it now, it seems like you're a lot more at peace with having to play this role.
Yeah, correct. Because I feel that like I only came to, I would say it largely relates to my faith lah.
Okay.
Yeah, as to my Christian faith. Because like I think when I came to church in Sec 4, then I remember, you know, the pastor talking a lot about, you know, wanting to share the message of Jesus Christ to our parents and like, you know, to pray for our parents to receive Christ. And at that point of time, I was very, very hesitant because I know that me and my dad, we can't even sit down for a meal properly.
Yeah.
You know, how am I going to tell him that, hey, Papa, you want to come church with me? You know, Jesus loves you. And I think at that point of time, because there was this thing that was going on within myself, right? And as I was praying, and I think I remember that, you know, I got reminded of this point that, you know, that says that, you know, I think God spoke to me that your father doesn't know me, so he doesn't know of God's love. So I cannot expect him to reach out to me first. Yeah, I cannot expect
that love to you.
Yeah, correct. And even if I feel that there are certain things that he did that probably I held, you know, bitterness against, I cannot expect him to understand and reach out to me first. And that's why because I know God's love, right, then I should be the one to reach out to him first.
Wow.
So I think that's exactly what I did. There was this day that I actually went up to him and like, Dad, do you want to go down to to eat dinner together? And it was quite funny. He was in his room as usual. Then he looked up at me. Yeah, it was his off day lah. Then I remember that time Sec 4. Then he looked at me. He was a bit shocked. He was like, why leh? Why go down leh? Then I said, go eat lah. Then after we went out to eat lah. It was awkward, but I think gradually, like, as I saw the possibility that that God can restore the relationship in this family, right? That actually helps me to take the next step towards him, and to also see that I can make a point to celebrate occasions with him as well.
Wow.
So it went on to, like, bring him out as a family for dinner on his birthday. And, like, how we would like to prove those surprise cake, kind of like, or waitress could bring a cake to your table, then
You
happy
did that for
birthday.
your dad.
Yeah, I did that. It was so cringy. Now I look back at it, but it was the first time I saw him actually smiling and, like, surprised. Even though he 嘴硬心, he was like, 哎呦你很多钱哦. Then he
With money.
smile. Yeah, but I think that was probably the turning point for my relationship with him. That actually, like, as after that, Chinese New Year got easier, I would say, because, like, I was able to relate to him in a closer manner. And, like, up to the point where, like, in recent years, where, like, I have to, like, step up to help resolve stuff, right? It's not that hard. Yeah.
Like, you're more willing.
I'm more willing to do it. Yeah. If not, I will feel that, like, oh, why do I have to do that for you? Like, maybe because of my unresolved grudges or what, right? Yeah. But I think, so along the years, that's why, like, after my grandparents passed away, right, it was not hard to gather for a reunion dinner within my family anymore, because, like, I see the significance of, like, the importance of coming together as a family. And even if it takes effort, I'm willing to put in the effort to bring everyone together so that we can, really have dinner as a family, and even for that, just that one time a year lah. Yeah.
That's so awesome, Like, I feel like, hearing you share this is so refreshing. At the same time, I'm very happy that you actually went through that whole journey, right? Because I do feel like, in a certain sense, like, it's a lot easier to just remain upset at your family situation. But
it's easy to ignore, I would say.
Yeah, correct.
Because
And
that
I
was
think
me
that's what a
for
lot
the
of people
first
do,
few years of my life in secondary school. It was way easier to ignore.
Yeah, then
the
you just
issue.
find that happiness and that companionship elsewhere lah.
Correct.
Yeah. But I feel like the fact that you actually chose to put yourself in that very uncomfortable place to ask your dad to eat with you, right, actually is quite amazing leh, because I can't say that everybody really will do something like that lah. Yeah. So, this at least shows me that there's always something that we can do about our situation. So thanks. And I do feel like, as we think about this whole, you were talking about the extended family situation, right? Actually, one of the things I remember my mom mentioned to me was the whole idea that siblings, like, actually, like, must be close. Because actually, if you're not close with your siblings, right, one day when your parents, like, pass away, then there will be no reason for you together. And I never really understood what she said, because she said this since young. So I was like, oh yeah.
Okay.
But, like, I never really, like, understood it until, like, I think I saw my grandparents pass away and how that affected, like, the extended family in a certain sense, right? Then it started to make me think about myself as a sibling, because, like, now that I'm married, I do still go back for dinner. Like what I said, my family eats dinner together quite regularly, right? But I realized that most of the time when I go back, it's because, like, I miss my parents or, like, I want to go and see them, which is normal lah. But I don't really think about asking my siblings out on it. Like, we just don't really have that kind of dynamic. Like, I'm close to my parents, I'm okay with my siblings, we're not, like, besties. Then it really made me think, like, actually, like, one day in the future, right, if my parents really, like, pass on, like, do I foresee myself gathering with my siblings? And I'm actually not super sure. I would love to say yes lah, but I can't say for sure, right, that I will really keep them on my mind and, like, think about them. So actually, one of my biggest takeaways from thinking about this whole, like, CNY gathering, extended family, right, is that I feel I should start to make a bit more effort to build that relationship with my siblings now. And the funny thing is, most people say, like, when you shift out, actually you need to put more effort in your relationship with your parents, right? But I feel actually it goes beyond that also. Like, if I really do want to have that kind of dynamic with my siblings next time when we all have our own families, right, actually it really begins now. And fortunately for me, I think looking at my husband's extended family, it gives me a picture of the fact that actually it really can be done. And I guess the outcome of that is very nice, it's very sweet to be able to see people, like, want together with each other, want to have their kids grow up together, and their kids can end up being very close, right? I think it paints for me a picture that like, wow, if you really invest properly now,
it's
actually the end
possible.
product is very sweet one.
Yeah, it won't have to end up like, the grandparents not there, then the whole family is sad.
And in fact, one of the things that my husband said to me was that actually if the bond between siblings are close, right, like a lot of these possible tensions can be resolved.
Right.
Like I feel like sometimes like there are these kind of tensions or misunderstandings because we don't communicate. Like what I said, right? Everybody gather together. Then after that, after everybody leave, then you talk about certain things that you feel.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe it's like a Chinese people thing. I don't know lah. We always like angry, right? Then keep in your heart, don't want to address.
Afraid to confront.
I think so. Because maybe don't want to like blow it up lah into a bigger issue. So even if you are upset, you keep it in your heart. And I see that a lot with like my parents or my uncle and auntie, right? But then they niam to the kids. It's like they angry with each other, right? Then they go and complain to other people who are not involved in the situation. Then honestly, sometimes I look at that, right? Or I listen to these stories, then I feel like, so lame. Why y'all don't just like communicate? But then now I think about it, I can't say for sure that I'm not like that.
To ourselves,
yeah,
right?
it's like you think now, you angry, you really say to people, meh? Actually, you also keep in your heart and then feel like, go and tell your good friend like, wow, this person, blah, blah, blah. So like, actually, if we don't learn the art of like talking through things and communicating properly, right, there's a good chance that actually we can end up like that one. Yeah, so actually you really go and like diagnose it a bit, right? You realize that, wow, it comes down to very basic things lah. Communication.
Yes.
And also probably building that relationship so that there's that trust, right? When there's misunderstanding, you actually can talk it through. You don't just like harbor certain bitterness about each other lah. So I feel like on the one hand, we can just like think that our family situation, like lame, why so complicated? Why must do until like that? But actually on the other hand, if we really think about it, we are able to learn some lessons for ourselves so that we probably can build maybe a stronger foundation for ourselves, our siblings, our cousins as we grow older lah.
Yeah. Okay.
As you think about your Chinese New Year this year, right, are there certain things that you feel if you all do gather, you may want to try doing?
I still foresee myself helping out in the kitchen because if it's gonna be at my own house again, right? So definitely I need help out in the kitchen,
true.
right? But I think something for a change that I will want to try to do is to actually be more present. I would say, because I find that like because when I shifted into my new house with my family, we actually had a housewarming. So that's really quite interesting because like it was probably the first time aside from Chinese New Year that some of my extended family members actually came over together. Right. Yeah, so actually that was actually very, very heartwarming, I would say. And like probably wanting to be more present because I felt that even though I was the host back then, I wasn't being able to really connect much with my relatives because my friends were over as well. Yeah, so probably for this Chinese New Year, I think something that I want to try to do more differently is to really be more present, to really like ask about how have they really been, because how gatherings are like, that you just like catch up and on a touch and go basis. And then like it's like a like you just talk very surface stuff and then like you just like comment about certain things like that's going on in the world. I can't really get to know like my family members as much as I get to know my friends. So I think being present is very important for me, I feel, this Chinese New Year, if it happens, and that's what I would want to do lah.
That's true. Actually, I feel like that would be the same for me because I think, I don't know, sometimes maybe because if we keep focusing on how it's very awkward, I have nothing to say, right? Actually, you're just counting down to when you get to leave. I mean, for you, if it's your house, you don't get to leave. But for me, maybe I get to leave. So it's very easy to just like count down to the next gathering. 5 o'clock, I need to go, bye-bye, that kind of thing. See you next year. Correct. But I feel like if we do gather, as much as there probably would be some awkwardness, I would like to ask about their lives. Because also if we follow each other on social media, you haven't
met your family members for 3 years. I think that's a huge point that you have to be present.
And my cousins are actually all around my age lah. So I actually can talk if we make the effort to, rather than we just like spend the time taking OOTD, which we really do spend a lot of time taking OOTD because they love to take their dresses. But I would like to engage in more conversation probably to figure out what's up in their life. Correct. And actually I am looking forward to gathering with my husband's family actually, just because they they are a fun bunch
So
to
fun.
be with. Yeah,
Yeah.
really, really very nice. And I enjoy family time with them quite a bit. Yeah. So looks like it's gonna be an interesting Chinese New Year.
For both of us this
For
year.
both of us, right? Okay, we catch up
Yeah.
again after Chinese New Year to see whether we eventually gather lah.
Yes.
But today we talked about so many things in our episode, and I had a really, really good time hearing about your family, hearing about your thoughts. I thought it was really refreshing. And I'm not sure how your Chinese New Year is gonna be like, but we hope that today's conversation resonated with you, and maybe you get to find some similarities lah in some of our stories. But whatever it is, we want to wish you guys a happy Chinese New Year. Have a
新年
great
快乐
time. 新年快乐. Have a great time with your family, with conversations. We hope you have great food. And we will catch you in our next episode again. Remember that you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at ngl.people. And you can find our episodes on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, as well as Spotify. So till next time, we'll see you again. Bye!
Bye.